Hello everybody, this is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard, and so this is going to be my third installment in the Manifestation Mastery course, and I believe this is episodes 6 through 9. And in case you're not clear, there are two videos for each episode. The first video is the A video, which is free here on the channel. And then there is the B videos, which you can find if you go over to Manifestation Mastery course at thunderwizard.com and subscribe. You can watch the B videos in case there's something special that I've saved for that. Otherwise, there's plenty of information on these videos. Enjoy it. I just want to get as much exposure to the channel as possible. Tell your friends about it. And I will be back in, a couple of hours. And if there's any last minute things I have to say, I'll say it. Otherwise, enjoy the marathon. And I'll see you guys soon. Real esoteric spirituality without all of the fluff, without all of the nonsense. This is the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel. Click. Hello and welcome to the Manifestation Mastery course. This is video 6A, I believe. Remember, there's an A video and a B video. The A video is here on the free YouTube channel, and the B video is where I get into the nuts and bolts of hacks and techniques. That is in the B videos, which you can access by going to manifestation.thunderwizard.com. Okay, so this is 6A, and we're going to be talking about, be careful what you ask for. Are you ready for real success? If you're seeking to understand the law of attraction, if you're seeking to understand how to manifest, then I can only assume that things need some improvement at the very least, or things have not been going at all the way you want, or somewhere in between. If things were working perfectly for you, you wouldn't be on this video. Now, I am with you. I am sharing with you what I have learned, which has turned this great concept of the law of attraction, which didn't work and then sort of worked and then, all that kind of stuff. And I've learned how to turn it into an actual law. They call it a law, which means that if you do this, this is going to happen. Like the law of gravity. You drop something, it falls every time, unless you're out, in the middle of space. But if you're walking around on planet Earth, we got this thing called gravity, which everything falls. It's a law. It happens every time. So the law of attraction, if it's a law, it should also be like that. It should work every time. So we're looking at the way more to it than just thinking about what you want and having a positive feeling and have it come to you. As we've talked about before, when somebody is in alignment and when their unconscious mind is cooperating with them and they don't have any conflicts about what they're trying to manifest, then it works every time. Absolutely, every single time. So we have to take a look at what we can do to optimize our instrument, which is our body and our mind and our spirit. When we can get all of these things working in alignment, then The law of attraction will work every time. So, you've heard the phrase, be careful what you ask for, be careful what you wish for, right? Which sounds ominous. There's a reason for it. We joke around, be careful what you wish for, right? Because something ironic will happen, You wish for having all kinds of money, tons of money, and then all of a sudden now you have to become a recluse because now you're world famous and everybody's coming after you and wants your money, and you have to spend all your money on safes and bodyguards, and then the irony is that all of your money is going in to protect the money that you have, and the freedom you thought you were going to get is gone, and somebody says, careful what you wish for. But in my experience, there's a different scenario that happens, which is, this is different than the other two scenarios that we've been talking about. The one where it just doesn't work for you, we already talked about that. The one where it starts to work and then it stops, that's different. This is altogether different. This is, you start to do the law of attraction, you start to work it, and boom, things start to happen. Especially if you combine the law of attraction with the law of manifestation, and you do the things that I've been teaching you to do on the B videos. If you do those things very often, if things start to line up, boom, you will see sometimes immediate results. And I've seen this happen with people. And then what ends up happening is then you have this success backlash. It's sort of like an unconscious buyer's remorse. And then what ends up happening, you start to gain, here's a scenario that can happen. So again, let's go through the three scenarios of when the law of attraction sort of fails. One is it just doesn't work for you at all. We talked about that. The other one is it works and then it slowly peters out and it stops working or sort of sputters to it, and then you're sort of not really anywhere. You're not poor anymore, but you're not really successful. You're still kind of missing it. And then there's this experience where you get what it is that you wanted, or you start to have that kind of success, and then just something catastrophic happens. You fall and break your back. You get in a car accident. Something catastrophic will happen. And or you will become gripped with fear. And then all of a sudden, I can't do this, and I'm not worthy, and all these other feelings start to crop up, and you become absolutely just, and people are coming in, and they want, they're ordering stuff, or, buying stuff from you, and oh my God, and you just freeze up. So this is a reaction to success. And it's an interesting one because you've got enough things working in your unconscious mind, and you are aligning with yourself on a spiritual level, that the universe is responding and saying, yes, here you go. Boom, right. Now you're in alignment. Here's the success. Here it comes. And it can be a very perplexing situation. And I've had, I can't tell you how many times that I myself have gone through this, but especially with people that I work with, people who have gone through a lot of trauma. This is what happens. Like if you've grown up in a really dysfunctional home, or you've had some kind of outright trauma or violence or something along those lines. It doesn't have to be that dramatic, but some kind of dysfunction, major dysfunction. And then when you start getting the success, it's like you can't seem to align yourself with it. You can't seem to fit into it. It's just, it feels wrong, and people become paralyzed. And I've seen this where I've worked with clients, and I can see objectively, I'm looking at them and I can see that everybody is seeing them in a different light. The universe is treating them as though they are successful and worthy. They themselves just can't accept it within themselves. It's just, they can't make the leap. It's frightening. It's absolutely horrifically frightening to them. And and then they may do things very destructively. So I've shared with you what happens with, poor people who live in double wide trailers who win the lottery, and they go from, living on welfare to having multi-million-dollar settlements where they're just incredibly rich beyond their wildest dreams. They don't even know what to do with all this money. And they get this money and they think, oh, that's it, I'm going to be set for life. Who wouldn't think that? I would think that. And then we find out a few years down the road, not only have they spent all of their money, but they're now in debt. And they're back in a double wide trailer, and they're worse off than they were before. They owe taxes, whatever it is. And this is a really extreme example of, this success block, this fear of success. So this comes down to being able to align yourself, your identity, with what is being given to you externally. And this goes back to the story that we tell ourselves. Everything that you have in your life is based on the story that you tell yourself. I'm trying to think, again, look at, look at bodybuilders, for example. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. That is not, if he didn't lift weights, he would just be an average-looking guy. There's really nothing amazing about him other than he lifted weights and took steroids. But what happened is that he realized the story he was telling himself about who he was. And if you watch, especially, just recently he did a motivational speech where he talked about failure. And he talked about how people don't push themselves towards something because they're afraid they might fail. And he says, you are going to fail. That's part of what happens. And he went through and listed all of the failures that he's had. He says it's not about whether or not you fail. It's about whether or not you pick yourself up and you keep going. That's the only thing that matters. When he won his last Mr. Olympia, he did it on a whim. He wasn't really set up to do it, and nobody expected him to come and compete. And he really wasn't in the best shape of his life. There were people that were in better shape than he was and better prepared. And he showed up at the last minute and decided to compete, and he won. And he won for a bunch of different reasons. Number one, he's got these amazing genetics, and he's taller than some of the other guys that were, and when you look at a tall guy compared to a short guy, they always go for the taller guy. And he had his personality, and he had his flair and his posing. He knew what he was doing in his posing. He was very good at that. And of course, he had his reputation backing him, so he already had people wanting to vote for him. And so he won. And there's all this controversy about whether or not he should have won and all that. When it was all done, they were interviewing him, and the controversy was happening behind the scenes, yet nobody really knew. Now everybody, who's into bodybuilding history, they know all the controversy that went on and all that. But when he did his interview right afterwards, he said, this whole idea of the most physically developed person in the world, he says, it's kind of silly, and people just take it too seriously. And of course, it's easy for him to say he won. But I have no doubt in my mind if he hadn't won, he still would have been grateful, and he would have congratulated everybody, and he had everything that he needed. He was about to make Conan the Barbarian, which was going to launch him into his career as an actor, movie actor, and he was already successful in business, and he was already running and producing a lot of bodybuilding. So he was already well on his way. He didn't need this; he could take it or leave it. And he got it, and it was because he didn't care. He didn't see it as being all that important. He saw it as being fun. And he went after it. And the people who took it really seriously Here's what happened. People who took it really seriously, the guys who should have won, who didn't have the personality he had and didn't have the genetics and were shorter than him, who, if you were to look at them just at their pictures side by side, you would say, oh yeah, that guy's in much better shape and much better definition and much better symmetry. But when you put him next to, the tall guy always wins. And he used that to his advantage. Those guys, they got all pissed off. Like the guy who got, I think, second or third, who was slated to be the next one, who was going to win. He had been winning for years. Frank Zane. Frank Zane is a legend. He's a legend for having this perfect symmetry. He's not huge. He's just chiseled, and he creates this beautiful, perfect, classical ideal of a man's physique. And he was slated to win, and he didn't. And he got second or third. And as soon as he went behind the stage after getting his thing, he smashed it against the wall. He had a temper tantrum. And then he didn't come back the next year. And the next year, Arnold wasn't there. And he could have taken it, and he didn't. And he looks back on it, and he realizes he made a mistake. He was protesting. He wasn't going to go. He took it too seriously. He took himself too seriously. This comes down to the story that you say about yourself. So when you achieve success, when you have been programmed to have whatever it is that you may consider to be failure or whatever it is, less than what you want, when you achieve the success that you say you've been wanting, and the success that you achieve is completely out of proportion to the story that you have in your unconscious about yourself, there is this crisis. And you start to flip out. You start to panic. And why is it that you panic? Why is it that these people who win the lottery, why isn't that when they get the money, they don't go, wow, okay, I got to get used to all this, and let's get some accountants to come in and help us, and let's get it together, and yeah, we've got money, let's buy a new house, and then let's invest in this, and let's work towards our eventual. Why don't they do that? Why is it that they go crazy and they get addicted to drugs and start buying meth and start buying 20 cars and 70 houses and don't understand taxes and don't understand any of that stuff, and then they end up worse off than they were before? Why do they do that? Well, one is they need to educate themselves on what it's like to be rich, but more importantly, it's that the story that they have about themselves is that they're poor and that they're losers. They wouldn't say that. If you called them poor losers, they would get very upset and they would fight with you about it. That's not their conscious story. Their conscious story is, you don't understand. The world is against me, and I'm this, and the government and taxes, and that's the story they have in their head consciously. Unconsciously, the story is that somewhere along the line, they got the impression that they didn't deserve it, that they weren't worthy of the success. That our identity of who we say we are is what controls everything. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Every time he went into the gym, people said, what makes you different than the other guy? The other guy's coming in and he's working out just as hard as you are. He's lifting just the same amount of weights. He's doing everything. He's having the same diet. He's doing everything that you're doing, and he didn't win. What's the difference? And he said, every time I went in there and I pushed myself to just torturous pain, he smiled. And he said, look around. All these other people, they have grimaces on their faces and they're feeling the pain. He says that whenever I did it, I would smile. And he said because he knew every rep that he did brought him that much closer to becoming Mr. Olympia. Whereas the other guys were focusing on how difficult it was. So, I don't know that I would do any different than those guys. But I'm listening to him, and what I'm hearing him say is that he had this story about himself. It wasn't who he was yet. He was still just another bodybuilder working his way up through, and in a new country. He didn't speak the language, and he wanted, and he's working 3 jobs and all this other stuff. He's just some guy trying to make his way in the world just like everybody else. The difference is he has this story in his mind about who he is. And he is more comfortable with that story than he is with his present situation. I'm not trying to judge it. It's what you have been programmed. If you have been programmed to believe that you are not worthy of success, when success comes for you, you will sabotage it. And there's all kinds of ways to sabotage it. There is just becoming gripped with fear. There is manifesting all kinds of chaos. There is allowing family and friends and people to pull you away from your path. And there is just simply sabotaging your success, getting your success and then destroying it once you have it, and then wondering what happened. And then you end up back where you were. It's because that identity that you have, whether it's positive or negative, what we need to understand is that we are living in what we perceive to be a frightening world. And our identity is our spacesuit. When you go off into space, if you land on the moon or Mars, you want to go outside the habitat, you're going to have to wear a spacesuit. Because if you don't, the elements will kill you. Like almost immediately, you'll die. Either there's the pressure, lack of pressure will kill you, or the radiation, or the heat, or the cold. Just the extremes. You don't have, like we have our Earth's atmosphere protects us from all that and keeps some kind of stasis. We can breathe. We've got protection from solar radiation, and we've got temperature control and all that kind of stuff. Once you get out of that, you don't have any of that. Those are the extremes. So your identity is your spacesuit. And when you have to change from one identity to another, then what you feel like you have to do is take your protection off, and you're now vulnerable to the elements. This isn't happening on a conscious level. Consciously, it's like, I don't understand it. Here's the money. Why aren't things working? Consciously, that's not. You may have a feeling of panic and not know where it's coming from. But consciously, you're not thinking that it's going to kill you. Unconsciously, that success feels like a threat to your existence. Because your story is your spacesuit. It is your protective spacesuit. Your identity. Even if your identity is that you're a loser, and that you're poor, and that you're unworthy, and that you're unlovable, and whatever your identity is, no matter how horrible it is, it's your spacesuit. Because at least it's comfortable, you understand it, you know who you are. When you take that spacesuit off, you have no idea who you are, what's going to happen. You feel like you're going to come apart. And so, talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger again, even though he wasn't Mr. Olympia for however long he wasn't, his identity was that he was Mr. Olympia, so that when he got handed that, he was like, yep, that's who I am. I am extremely successful, and he is. He's an extremely successful guy. He's an extremely successful businessman. He's a horrible actor. I'm an actor. He's a horrible actor. To his credit, he doesn't try and, play King Lear. He takes roles that suit his abilities, but he's a horrible actor. He sucks. But he's, one of the most famous, recognizable actors in history because he decided that's what he wanted to be. He decided that that's who he was next. He was going to be an actor, a very successful actor. And so when that success came to him, he took it. He had all kinds of failures along the way, and like he just shrugged it off like he did when he was bodybuilding. If he lost, he shrugged it off and he went to the next one. I'm going to forget about this. Let's go to the next one. He didn't take himself too seriously. In other words, the story that he told himself, he didn't take himself so seriously that he couldn't take off his spacesuit and put on another one. So this is just a bunch of talk basically to come down to the idea that you have an unconscious idea of who you are. That determines what happens in your life. If you have this unconscious idea of whatever it is, being poor or failure or whatever, and you learn to do enough to align yourself enough, and you work the law of attraction well enough, and you do it in alignment with where your soul wants to go, success will come for you. Absolutely, without fail. Success will come for you. Whether or not you see it is one thing. You might not see it coming and you'll miss it and it'll pass you by. Or you'll see it coming and on an unconscious level you will see it as a threat to your existence. You will think that success will kill you. Let me give you another example in my life. Now, forgive me for getting all spiritual here. But I now have I have my tea. That's what that was all about. As you know, I make a living as a spiritual teacher and a mentor and a guide and a counselor through YouTube. And I've embraced that, and I'm really working hard, and I'm putting out a lot of information, and I'm really working towards continuing my success and to reach as many people as I can and to help as many people as I can, which of course is going to bring me more financial success. But that wasn't something that I did very easily. I'm 55 now, and it's taken me 30 years to finally get comfortable with, and I'm still learning in this, trust me, I'm still learning, get comfortable in the story that I have about myself, which is that my new story is that I'm a world famous, effective, one of the most effective spiritual teachers and life coaches and counselors in the world. That's my new story that I'm working towards. So that wasn't something that I did very easily. And way back probably 25 years ago, I think. 25 years ago, I was studying very hard in a lot of spiritual disciplines, and everybody that I worked with saw, wow, this guy's got some real potential here, and that was my life, my spiritual evolution and my spiritual practices, my energy practices and the esoteric, magical practices. This was my life, and I was working with one of my teachers, and I don't know what we were talking about, but something started bubbling up inside of me, and he was talking about, you're a teacher. Now I remember it now. He says, you're a teacher. You're a healer. You're a master. And I started to weep. And he was like, what's going on? And I said, I don't know. He says, try to put words to it. I said, they're going to kill me. He says, who? I said, I don't know. They're going to kill me. And he says, this feels like it's some past life thing. So he gave me this tape to listen to, which I listened to as I was sleeping, which allowed me to access my unconscious, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't have any real major dreams that night. But the next day, I got up as I did, and I was doing my yoga. And as I was practicing and doing my yoga, I don't know if I told you this story before. If I have, forgive me, but apply it to what we're talking about. So I'm doing my yoga, and I'm doing these spinal twists, and it's a really intense practice. All of a sudden, I had this waking vision, and I saw unfolding in front of me a previous life. I was a priest in medieval France, and I was being dragged through the streets by the townsfolk, and they threw me up against the church doors, and they nailed me to the church doors, and then they began to tear me to shreds over what I was teaching. Because I was teaching a lot of the same things I'm teaching now. You don't need a God up there. You yourself are God. And I was, of course, using it in context of Christian religion. I was interpreting Christian religion in order to fit that. And of course, that was blasphemy, and those people were not ready for that. It was too threatening. And if my teaching had taken hold, then the church armies would have come and destroyed the whole village. So I was a threat to their survival. They had to get rid of me. I was a threat to their story, their communal story. So they had to get rid of me. No, that was a past life. That was a long time ago. You can talk about pretty much anything you want now. Nobody's going to, put you to death for heresy. But I was acting as though that was going to happen, that block. Now, I became aware of that block, and for the next 20 years, I struggled to accept my role as a master teacher. It was extremely challenging and frightening, and I really, really struggled with it. And so I had marginal success at best. In fact, I was poor and struggling all of my life up until very recently. And the only thing that changed was I embraced my identity of who I am. My spacesuit now is that I am a master teacher, and that I have a message that nobody else is giving, and this is a message that the world needs, and I need to get this message to as many people as possible. And this is how I make my living. This is my new spacesuit. So that's kind of the question you want to ask yourself. What spacesuit are you wearing? You don't have to like it. Just because you don't like being poor or you don't like being miserable. Nobody does. Nobody likes being a failure. But is that your identity? If you honestly feel that way, that I shouldn't do it, that I don't deserve it, that nobody wants to hear it, that I'm a fraud, this is a big one. I'm a fraud, people will see through me, I don't deserve to charge for my services, blah, blah, blah. If that's your identity, even though you don't like it, it is still safer than taking your spacesuit off and being obliterated. Because that's what your unconscious mind thinks will happen. So, in the next video, we're going to talk about some things that we can do to change that, ways that we can hack into the unconscious mind, and real simple things that you can do on a daily basis to change that. Now, it will take some work on your part. If you're willing not to take yourself too seriously, and if you're willing to have success and to live with it and to deal with the discomfort that might come when success comes to you, then you can change. You are built. You are wired to evolve. This is the good news. It may feel like this is a death sentence. It's not. You are wired to evolve. And just like Arnold Schwarzenegger, every time he goes and he lifted, every time he did that, he did one last rep, one rep more than he could have because he wanted that so badly. There are things you can do to change your story of who you are. And here's the good news. It's not like you have to take off one spacesuit and then be exposed to the elements while you're trying to put the other one on. You can change the spacesuit that you have. You can change it. It will magically transform into a new spacesuit, a new identity, and it might feel a little clunky at first. And that's okay. As long as you understand it. My experience is, as long as you understand what's going on, like if you can just explain to me what the discomfort is all about and explain to me that this is going to change, then I'm okay with it. Using again the bodybuilding example. You go to the gym, you work out. I'm sore right now. I did chest a couple days ago, so my chest is sore. My chest is sore. So now if I hadn't gone to the gym and my chest, I'd say, what's wrong with my chest? Why is that so tender? Well, because I know that sore muscles mean that they're going to grow, I go, oh, this is good, and I can tolerate the mild discomfort of the sore muscles. The same thing will happen to your identity. Getting into that new spacesuit, it's going to be clunky, it's going to be weird, it might be really frightening, it might be fun, it might be, who knows? It's going to have it's going to be different than what you expect, and it might be an unpleasant experience at first, but that's just because you're just getting used to your new suit. And for me, and again, if you understand, oh, I'm uncomfortable because I just took a big leap in my career, and my unconscious mind is adjusting, and it's frightening, and oh, okay, this is good. As long as I know that, I can still keep taking action towards what I want and get comfortable with it. So in the next video, we're going to talk about things you can do on a daily basis, which will help you to create a new spacesuit, a new identity, and how you can learn how to do that transition from one identity to the next, and how you can get comfortable in it. All right, so I'll see you in the B video. If you're new to this, all you have to do is go to manifestation.thunderwizard.com and click on the link. There will be links in there along with the A videos, and you can go directly to it. I also recommend, by the way, using the manifestation course with the 5 rules to master the matrix. That again is a very practical way of looking at the laws of the universe, the laws of this matrix. And when you understand the laws of this matrix, you just follow, the hacks that are in there. The universe responds, and then you don't have to analyze yourself. So we're attacking it on 2 fronts. In this video, I am talking about theory, but we're also looking at it from a psychological perspective. So on a psychological perspective, you can understand the mechanics of how the unconscious mind works. But what if you don't want to spend time analyzing, you just want to get to the nuts and bolts? Then that's what the 5 rules to master the matrix is all about. If you can master that, along with this, you'll have a clear roadmap, and it really is, it's just you push A button, B button, C button, and things happen. And then you got to be able to deal with it. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to help you with it in this series. Okay, so go to matrix.thunderwizard.com to get the 5 rules to master the matrix. Go to manifestation.thunderwizard.com and click on the links there to go and see the B videos, the deeper specific hacks on how to manifest. There's a lot more to come. All right, so talk to you soon. Real esoteric spirituality without all of the fluff, without all of the nonsense. This is the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel. Click. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the law of attraction combined with the law of manifestation. And so we've talked a lot about the law of attraction. This is video number 7A. Remember, there's an A video and a B video for each one of these videos. And so if you haven't, please go back and watch the earlier videos so you can get caught up. So we've talked a lot about the law of attraction, and we haven't talked a lot about the law of manifestation. And I did that for a reason. It's because a lot of people are so focused on the law of attraction that they either are unaware or not even bothering to look into the law of manifestation. And you have to have both. It is possible for somebody, if they are aligned internally, emotionally, and psychologically, if you give them the law of attraction, they will immediately have fantastic results with it. But that's only if either they are very conscious of all three of the minds and how they work, but most of the time it's just people who, the luck of the draw, the way that they've grown up, the society that they've lived in, the family that they've had, they've already been aligned and they don't have to think about it. All three of their minds work together for them. And by the way, in order to really understand what I'm going to be talking about, I recommend that you go and watch the big law of attraction video that I made just a little while ago. The 20-minute long video where I really get into the three minds and I break down how the three minds work. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So the law of attraction and the law of manifestation, they work together. And ideally, they work seamlessly without even thinking about it. But if you are somebody who needs to practice the law of attraction, it means that there is some disconnect. There is some blockage. There is some conflict among your three minds. And that's okay. I'm not judging it. I know because I'm also one of those people. The reason why I teach this is because I've worked so hard at resolving internal conflict and blocks, and that has taught me so much about how these three minds work and how the law of attraction and the law of manifestation work together. So let's do a quick review. What is the law of attraction as it is being taught? The law of attraction says that the universe functions on vibration, and how you vibrate is what is going to attract what is going to attract in your life. So if you have positive feelings, you will attract positive experiences. If you have negative feelings, you will attract negative experiences. And so the law of attraction is very passive. And that is why it is so attractive, because the assumption is I don't have to do anything. I just have to focus on what I'm vibrating at, which is really another way of saying how I'm feeling. And people get thoughts and feelings mixed up. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the assumption. Remember, if you follow my teachings, everything is based on assumption, no matter what it is. You live your life based on assumptions, unconscious assumptions. You're not thinking about it. When I get in my car, I don't even have to remind myself that I have to drive on the right side of the road. I don't have to, I just don't, it's just automatic. It's because I've been programmed to do that. This is really something I found out recently when I went on vacation to Australia a few months back. I really had to consciously tell myself to drive on the left side of the road. Every time I got in my car, if I didn't, I can't tell you, there was more than a few times where I just got in my car and started driving on the right side of the road, and then cars coming right at me. And oh crap, I had to move. So we all function this way. We all have assumptions that we operate on, and if you have an incorrect assumption, you're going to make incorrect conclusions. And people can do this. They can just continuously make incorrect conclusions and actions in their life, and they're trying to figure out what the problem is. Well, it's because your base assumption is incorrect. Just like if I go to Australia or New Zealand or the UK, and I have the assumption that everybody should be driving on the right side of the road, I'm the one driving on the wrong side of the road, and everybody else is pissed off, and I'm thinking, what's wrong with all you people? I'm the one that's doing something wrong here. And this is how people live their life. They have an incorrect assumption, and they either aren't aware of what an assumption is, that they've made one, or they're unwilling to let go of their assumptions. And so they think the whole world is wrong and the whole world is out to get them, and the whole world is saying, hey, no, man, you're the one you're off base here. So if you make an incorrect assumption about the law of attraction, you're going to continuously find yourself not accomplishing anything, not attracting anything. So one of the mistaken assumptions of the law of attraction is that thoughts and feelings are something that you have complete conscious control over. Because think about it. You're being told, if you follow the teachers of the law of attraction, you're constantly being told that you must put thoughts into your subconscious mind. You must consciously create these wonderful feelings. If you're wanting to imagine having a new house, then you have to imagine the house. And on top of that, you're told you have to have very happy feelings. That the happy feelings is what's going to bring the house to you. And so these are things that you're consciously imposing on your subconscious mind, right? This is what you're being taught all the time. And there's a lot of talk about thoughts, the thoughts that you put into your subconscious mind. The assumption there is that you have control over them. Now, I agree that if you're constantly filled with negative thoughts and feelings, there is a much better chance you are going to manifest unpleasant circumstances. I'm in full agreement with that. What I am disputing, just talking about the law of attraction, what I'm disputing is that you have 100% conscious control over that. And that is an assumption that can get you into real trouble. Because the truth of the matter is that we have very limited control over what we think and what we feel. And thoughts and feelings aren't the same thing. And thoughts are not something that you consciously construct. Sometimes you can choose to let me think about this. You can choose to think about something. But 99% of the time, everything is on autopilot. All of the thoughts that pop into your head and all of the feelings that pop into your head, these are all coming from somewhere else. You don't have control over them. And so thoughts come from unconscious programs. So here's where the law of attraction, again, runs into problems. Again, I talked about this on an earlier video. I went into great detail about the three minds. The law of attraction assumes that you only have two minds, the conscious and the subconscious. And most people don't even know what the subconscious mind is. They think there's just this mind up here, and then there's this mind underneath it. This is the subconscious, this is the conscious. But you have three minds. You have the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious. The unconscious is the 99% of your mind that has all of your beliefs, all of your programming, and a lot of these beliefs and programs are completely opposite to the conscious ones that you're trying to adopt. So the law of attraction says sit on the edge of your bed, give yourself positive affirmations, wake up in the morning, look at your vision board and see your beautiful house and think, I love being in my beautiful mansion, and your mansion will come to you. So if you're spending 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the morning doing that, you are putting that into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is transmitting that. It is projecting that onto the film screen, which is your external life. That is all happening. Your feelings, if you get positive feelings about it, that is getting projected onto the film screen of your external life. But then you've got to get on with your day. Then you got to go into the shower, and then you got to go do this, and then you go to work, and you do the kids, and the blah, blah, blah. You're not going to be spending 100% of your time thinking about that. So what happens the rest of the day? The rest of the day, thoughts will pop into your mind. Feelings will pop into your mind. Thoughts are things that come from your unconscious programming. When you're a little kid, you are programmed to function and to believe certain things. You believe in Santa Claus, you believe in Jesus, you believe in whatever it is. You are taught energetically from your parents I'm a good person, I'm a bad person, you're lazy, blah, money is good, money is bad. All that kind of stuff is put into you. All these values are put into you on the unconscious level. And these tapes are playing all the time. Now, it's the unconscious, which means you're not aware of it. You are completely unaware on a conscious level. Because if you are, then it's no longer in the unconscious mind. Now it's in the subconscious or the conscious mind. Because you are aware of things in your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind acts like a file cabinet, and it has all the information that you need in order to get through life. But if you were constantly thinking about all of these facts and details, you wouldn't be able to get anything done. So it stores it just below the conscious awareness. But you have access. You can go, oh, what is my social security number? What is my address? What is my birthday? What is my wife's birthday? These things are all available to you in your subconscious mind, and you have access to that whenever you want it. Your unconscious mind is different. Your unconscious mind is locked. There's a padlock and security. I mean, you can't get in there. You can't decide, I want to see what's in my unconscious mind. The unconscious mind is not available to you. However, the unconscious mind does control, creates everything in your life, and it will dictate your actions always. So the goal isn't to get rid of the unconscious mind. I get asked this a lot. How do I get rid of the unconscious mind? How do I defeat the unconscious mind? You will never defeat the unconscious mind. You will never get rid of it. You don't want to get rid of it. You want to hack into it and reprogram it. And we're going to be talking about how to do that later on in this number 7 series. I'm going to talk about that in 7b. How do you hack into it and overcome it? What you really want to do is you want to get it to work with you. If you have inaccurate assumptions or assumptions that don't serve you in your unconscious mind, what you want is you want to get those aligned with what is helpful for you. And then your conscious mind, your subconscious, and your unconscious mind can work together. And when all three minds are working together, things happen instantly. So, let's go further into what the law of attraction is missing here and the assumption. Remember, the assumption of the law of attraction is you only have two minds, your conscious and your subconscious. As long as you're filling your subconscious mind with whatever it is you want to create, then it'll go out and attract it in your life. But you don't have conscious control over most of your thoughts. Again, the idea is, well, if you just focus on positive thoughts, positive things will happen. Choose to think about what it is that you want. Choose to think about your perfect relationship. Choose to think about your house. And if you just keep doing that, it'll happen for you. But how many of you listening to me have done that? How many of you, like myself, how many people how many hours of the day do you spend thinking about wanting your perfect relationship? Does that mean it's come to you yet? Doesn't necessarily mean because you're focused on that it's going to manifest. And that has, as we said, it has to do with the unconscious mind. So what happens if the assumption is that as long as you control your thoughts, you can control what you think, you can control what happens. But you can't control your thoughts. You're told if you have negative thoughts, negative things will happen to you. So we want to not have negative thoughts. But the assumption is that you have control over them, and you don't have control over the majority of the thoughts that come up into your mind. What happens if some tragedy strikes? What happens if your spouse dies? May that never happen to you. I've had that happen. So I can tell you that I had no control over the thoughts that were coming into my mind. The thoughts of how horrible it is that she's gone, how sad I am, how, all of the fears and everything, and fear of death and all kinds of just horrible thoughts, just really unpleasant, painful thoughts. And if I followed the assumption of the law of attraction, then at this point in my life, I would be, life would be far worse than it is. And my life is great. I went through a really difficult period where my thoughts were constantly on death and pain and loneliness and regret and all the things that come with losing somebody very close to you. So that proved to me that, the law of attraction right there, the assumption is wrong that you have control over what you're thinking about all the time. You don't. You have very little control over what you're thinking. What about feelings? Same thing. They're told, keep your feelings positive, always stay positive, have positive feelings, create positive, happy feelings all the time, associate those happy feelings with whatever it is that you want. The assumption is that you have control over what you feel. But you don't. You have marginal control over sometimes what you indulge in your feelings. Like when my spouse passed away, I was consumed with horrible thoughts all the time. Just painful, sad, horrible feelings all the time. And there were times when I would have to say, okay, I got to stop focusing on this. I got work to do. And I would put it out of my mind. But the truth of the matter is that those thoughts and those feelings were continuously being manufactured in my unconscious mind. And as soon as I was, not doing a video or something, as soon as I stopped doing that, then I was overwhelmed with this backlog of horrible thoughts and feelings and sadness and pain. So if you're walking around and you're somebody that is, you've got fears all the time. You're afraid of financial insecurity. That keeps popping up in your mind. How am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to be alone for the rest of my life? How am I going to get sick? These things pop into your mind. Yes, you have some control over how much you want to indulge in that, but the truth of the matter is you probably have very little control over that. And then we end up in denial, where people go into denial, and they think that they're being spiritual. I don't go into those lower places. I don't vibrate on that lower level. I don't want to go there. I always stay positive. And these are the people that put a smile on their face and they act happy and nice and they keep doing this, and then at some point they just explode. You've ever been around these people? They put on a happy face, 60, 70, 80% of the time, and then 20% of the time they're just exploding on you. And you are causing them all kinds of problems, and then I don't want to go there, and then these are people who are in denial. And all that's happening is that you're consciously trying to suppress these thoughts and these feelings that are coming up from your unconscious mind. So the point is that the law of attraction has it backwards. Yes, the law of attraction is real. Yes, it is true that what you vibrate at is going to create scenarios and attract things into your life. But it assumes that that's all that you have to do. So now we bring in the law of manifestation. Law of attraction and the law of manifestation they work together, but they're two different laws. Now, with somebody whose three minds, their conscious, their subconscious, and their unconscious, when their three minds are aligned, then all you need is the law of attraction. When your three minds are aligned, all you need to do is think about, what is it that I want? I think I want that. And it will manifest. I know because I've experienced it. But the law of attraction is passive. The law of manifestation is active. The law of manifestation will overcome the law of attraction every single time. So even if we take the assumption, which I think is incomplete, that what you think and what you feel is what you attract in your life. Again, if that were true, we would all be dead and billionaires. We'd be dead billionaires. Because most people spend much of their time thinking about how much money they're going to make, and they worry about dying and getting sick. You'd be a dead billionaire murderer, because there's everybody listening to me has thought ill on somebody else. You've gotten angry, even if you were a little kid. There's your boyfriend breaks up with you. There's at least one moment when I could kill him. So if everything you thought and felt was instantly manifested in your life, then you would be a dead billionaire murderer. If you're watching this, you're alive. If you're watching this, you're probably not a billionaire because you want to attract more money in your life. If you're watching this, you're probably not a murderer unless you're watching from prison, right? So that's not entirely accurate. And it's very passive. Now, as I said, the law of attraction works when all three minds are aligned, but when all three minds are not aligned, that's when you go to the law of manifestation. The law of manifestation is very active, and the law of manifestation says you create. You physically go and create your reality. And the law of manifestation will overcome the law of attraction every single time. The universe, here's what the law of manifestation says. The law of manifestation says that the universe responds to your actions first, not your feelings. When you are aligned, your thoughts and your feelings will automatically create corresponding actions. This is why if somebody's minds are all three of them are aligned, all you have to do is introduce to them the law of attraction, and they go, oh, and they focus on what they want, and it manifests seemingly magically in their life. But what you don't realize is that they are unconsciously taking action. Now, the law of manifestation is an extremely valuable tool for those of us whose all of our three minds are not aligned, and we can't simply sit on the edge of our bed and magically manifest our perfect life just by thinking about it or feeling about it. Because if, like when I was going through the death of my spouse, when that was happening, I had no control over the thoughts and the feelings that went on in my head. The only control I had, and that was minimal, was the actions that I took. And the actions that I took brought me to where I am now. My life has continued to get better, even with the flood of horrible thoughts and feelings that I had for a long period of time. So if you're one of those people and you're depressed all the time, you're sad all the time, we definitely need to find ways to work through that. But that in and of itself will not, first of all, it will not create horrible things in your life. And second of all, it won't prevent you from creating positive things in your life. Because the universe, according to the law of manifestation, the universe responds to action first, feelings second. If your actions and your feelings are aligned, so much the better. Home run for you. A lot easier, a lot less work. But I can tell you from personal experience that there is a law that I'm going to talk about in the next video. It is a technique that you can use that will absolutely trump the law of attraction every time, and it will force the universe to respond to you. We'll be talking about it in the next one. So, bottom line here is this. The law of attraction is passive, and that's why it's so popular. Because people like me, you've probably busted your tail trying to make things happen. You've gone out there and you've tried to get the perfect job, get the perfect business. You've tried to get money into your life. You've tried to get health and happiness, and you just seem, no matter what you do, you're just smashed down. You feel like you're just a failure and you can't accomplish anything. And so somebody comes along and says, oh, don't worry about it. You don't have to do anything, just think and feel. As long as you think and feel positive, positive things will happen to you. Except the assumption is that you have control over what you think and you feel, and you don't. You have very little control. The unconscious mind will trump any conscious thoughts and feelings, and will send out vibrations 24 hours a day, whether you're aware of it or not. The good news is that the law of manifestation will overcome the negative vibrations that are sent out by your conscious and unconscious mind. And that I think that we should switch them around. We should have the law of manifestation first. Once we get that underway, then we use the law of attraction to boost the law of manifestation. That, to me, is how I think it ought to be done. So we're going to be talking about the method that in the law of manifestation that always, every single time, overcomes the law of attraction, because the universe responds to the law of manifestation every time, regardless of what you're feeling. Okay, so we'll talk about that in the B video next. Remember, by the way, there is an A video and a B video. The A videos are seen on the free YouTube channel. If you are wanting to get to the meat of this, which are in the B videos, those are found on the Manifestation Mastery Course website, which is thunderwizard.com. So all you do is you go to thunderwizard.com and look for, on the right side of the page, you're going to see Manifestation Mastery Course. Click on that, sign up for that, because that's where the real meat is. And I do this because, you know, I want to teach this to people. But in my experience, people have got to be really serious about it. And so I put a little bit of a hoop for you to jump through for your benefit, because if you jump through that hoop, I know you're going to practice it. And that's what my goal is, to help you. And my goal is to teach people, and sometimes in order to teach people, you have to make sure that they're serious. So if you're serious about this, then I recommend that you go to thunderwizard.com, look on the right side of the page, and click on Manifestation Mastery Course and sign up for that. And what we're going to be doing is we are going to be, every week, I'm going to be uploading new videos to the Manifestation Mastery Course. And coming very soon, from the time of this video taping here, we are going to be having live question and answers where you can ask me directly any question that you want, and I will go into depth explaining it. But I'm only going to be doing that in the Manifestation Mastery Course on the thunderwizard.com website. So only for people who are serious. So there's going to be a group of people, and you're available to talk to me. And this is going to be happening very soon in the next few weeks. So that's it for now. Go and watch the Manifestation Mastery Course video 7B on the thunderwizard.com website. Real esoteric spirituality without all of the fluff, without all of the nonsense. This is the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel. Click. Hello, Thunder Wizards. So today we're going to be talking about how to make positive affirmations work for you when you are seeking to manifest. So understand that if you haven't watched my previous videos about manifestation, please do, because we are exposing one of the greatest flaws in the law of attraction as it is being taught. So, as you know, the law of attraction states that the universe operates on a vibration, and that wherever you are vibrating, that sends out a vibration which then attracts to you things of that same vibration. Okay? And so positive affirmations are used. The theory is that you use positive affirmations in order to bring to you whatever it is that you want to tell yourself. I am rich. I have a new house. I have a new car. I have love in my life. I am successful. I am healthy. Whatever it is. And as we've been talking about, that theory is missing some very important factors to what the law of attraction really does. So remember that you have three minds. You have your conscious mind, your subconscious, and then your unconscious mind. And as I've said many times, 99% of the time when somebody uses the word subconscious, especially when they're talking about the law of attraction, what they really mean, even though they don't know it, is the unconscious. The theory is faulty because the assumption that there are only two minds, the conscious and the subconscious, will put you in a situation where positive affirmations will work some of the time or maybe not at all. And that's because you have to take into account the unconscious mind. So the theory that is limited says that if you repeat a positive affirmation in your mind or you say it out loud, repeat it to yourself over and over again, that it's a suggestion that's put into the subconscious, which then goes out and manifests your desire. That is only true if the unconscious mind is in agreement. If the unconscious mind has a pattern or a belief or an assumption that goes against that, then it doesn't matter. You can chant positive affirmations till the cows come home and it will not change anything. Because if you've got, let's say your positive affirmation is, I am a successful businessman, right? And you tell yourself that, I'm a successful businessman or businesswoman, and you repeat that over and over and over with the intention of changing your reality. It is going to have some influence, but the effectiveness of that is going to be determined by whether or not your unconscious mind has an assumption or a program in there that agrees with it. So if you grew up, let's say, believing that or being taught that money was evil, and your parents went on and on about big business. I remember dating a woman who was absolutely against being rich because she was convinced that rich people end up having their money stolen from them. So she had this threshold of how much money she wanted to make, and beyond that, she didn't want that because it brought too much trouble. So let's say you grew up in a house where your parents tell you that if you make over $100,000 a year, then you're a target, and that's bad. So if you spend the rest of your life as an adult saying to yourself, I make $1 million a year, I make $1 million a year, if you've got that belief in your unconscious that your parents instilled in you that, if you make more than $100,000, then you're going to be a target and the IRS will come after you and people will steal from you and all that kind of stuff, then you are going to be in conflict. So remember, the unconscious mind means you're not consciously aware of it. The goal of all spiritual work is to become conscious of what is in the unconscious. So this is why people go to therapy. This is what Jungian and Freudian therapy is all about. To lie on the couch and to talk about, your mother. The reason why you do that is because you are trying to bring to your conscious awareness, oh my God, my parents taught me that I'm supposed to hate money, and that's why I keep sabotaging myself. That's the whole point. Now, that knowledge in and of itself, even if you become conscious of what's in your unconscious mind, that knowledge in and of itself doesn't always mean that you're going to overcome that. And this is where the spiritual work comes in. This is where the 4-step tool comes in that I've been releasing lately. which is you have to know what your destination is, which is your soul desire, what you truly want. You have to have the vehicle to get to your destination. This is energy work, because the universe is made up of life force energy. And so therefore, when you want to intend something, you need life force energy to stimulate life force energy to create what you want. So that's the second step, is the vehicle. And the third step is you need to know the rules of the road. So you need to know what the 5 rules are to master the matrix. And when you know what those 5 rules are, you don't even need to know what's in your unconscious mind, because you'll know what the rules are that the life force energy of the universe or the matrix responds to, and then you can command it to fulfill your desires. And then the fourth step is what we're doing here. This is the A video. The B videos are on the Manifestation Mastery course, where we go into specifics. And later on, we're going to be having live question and answer videos on the Manifestation Mastery course, so that you can ask me questions directly, and in real time I will answer your problems, your questions having to do with anything, but especially about manifestation. Okay, so point being is that if you are not aware and you have not worked through your unconscious issues, you can give yourself positive affirmations all day long, and if you have a completely opposite unconscious affirmation going on all the time, then it won't work. And as I've said in previous videos, even if you are capable of sitting there and for an hour, let's say even for 2 hours, you're able to tell yourself, I'm a successful businessman, I'm a successful businesswoman, I make $1 million a year. Even if you're able to do that, let's say just nonstop for 2 hours, which takes a lot of concentration, you're flooding your subconscious mind with these affirmations. And then what ends up happening is that, yeah, that's being sent out for those 2 hours. But once you stop, the unconscious affirmations will take over. And your subconscious mind will then be filled with the unconscious affirmations of money is bad, if you make more than $100,000 a year, you're blah, 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 blah. That's going on for 22 of the 24 hours of the day. And you're not aware of it because it's in your unconscious mind. So we need to find a method to get positive affirmations to work. Otherwise, I mean, if you're watching this and you've tried to follow the law of attraction, and if you've tried to do, positive affirmations for yourself, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. How often do they work? I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I am saying that it does work, but only if on an unconscious level you agree with that. Your unconscious chooses to agree, then that positive affirmation can go out there and can manifest. So there is a method, there is a technique that I use that will bring positive affirmations into your reality. In fact, there's a way to go beyond positive affirmations. And you have to combine techniques that hack into your unconscious. And then when you're able to hack into your unconscious, you can use these techniques along with positive affirmations, and even there's a technique, as I said, that goes beyond that. And that can shift your unconscious mind. And when that shift occurs in your unconscious mind, then you literally can determine your reality. You can decide what it is that you want, and it happens for you. But there's a way to understand that. So there are a few points here that I want to make. So as I said, in order for positive affirmations, first, number one, your unconscious mind has to agree. If it doesn't agree, then it's going to veto whatever those positive affirmations are, no matter how badly you want it, no matter how much emotion you infuse into it. If your unconscious mind has a program that goes against it, it will veto that every single time. Second thing that we need to know, and this is something that is lost on most of the law of attraction practitioners, is that your positive affirmation has to be in line with your pre-existing soul desire. Now, we've been talking a lot about the unconscious mind and how the unconscious mind can sabotage what it is that you want to accomplish. So obviously in the unconscious mind, all of the negative programming is there, but in the unconscious mind is also all of the positive programming that is there. And so very oftentimes people will have a conflict in their unconscious. The thing that is most powerful for your success that lies within your unconscious mind is what I call your soul desire. So all of your negative programming that you've been taught from your parents or from school or society or church is sitting underneath your level of conscious awareness. You're not aware that it's there. It's constantly churning out these affirmations. We'll call them negative affirmations. It's constantly 24 hours a day churning these out, putting them in your subconscious mind and sending them out to be manifested. Along with those negative affirmations that are going on in your unconscious mind that you've learned through your parents, from childhood, from infant, they even say starting at 3 days old, the child is able to start knowing how to manipulate the parents and to get them to respond, which means that they are being programmed as well. From day 3, infants are being programmed from all of the unconscious energy affirmations inside the parent's mind. This is very important to understand. Infants up through toddlers are all operating from the unconscious, which means that they are operating on an energetic level. It's not just what you say to them. It's the unconscious energy that's being transmitted to them. They are picking up on that. They're incredibly intuitive. And so they pick up, even if you don't tell them, being rich is bad. Even if you don't tell that to an infant or a toddler, energetically that's being programmed into them. It's important to know. This is why it's so insidious and such a difficult, thing. Because if you don't have the techniques to hack into the unconscious, it's, you're virtually, incapable of doing anything to change your life. That's where all the change takes place. Now, besides all those things that are learned from 3 days old on up, besides all that, there is the positive affirmations, the soul desire that you brought with you, with your soul, when you incarnated. That is also in your unconscious mind. You can call it fate, you can call it destiny, you can call it whatever you want. People want to call it God's will, I don't care. You can call it whatever you want. That is also programmed. It is stamped in your unconscious mind. When what you have been taught by your parents, your society, goes against your programming, your spiritual programming, then you end up in a locked battle and you end up in conflict. And this is when people really get stuck. They get stuck, and it can cause disease, it can cause mental problems, because the most powerful affirmation that you have within you is your soul desire. It's been imprinted into you. But it is something that you have to become conscious of. This is what spiritual work is all about. The ideal of spiritual work is to become conscious of your soul desire. You can call it, in my ancestral background, they called it the Orlog, which is origin law, your destiny, what your law is, your own personal origin law, your own personal destiny. You can call it by any words you want. God's will, like I said, fate, destiny. So your positive affirmation that you are consciously trying to load into your subconscious mind, I am a billionaire, I am a successful. It has to be in line with your soul desire as well. If your soul desire, like if in other words, let's take the opposite tack. Let's say you've been taught by your parents, unless you have a lot of money, unless you're rich, then life is horrible. And so you spend all of your life hoarding wealth and hoarding money, and you become a miser, and your whole life is you're working 18 hours a day so you can have a lot of money. If that goes against your soul desire, in other words, before your soul was brought here, your soul said, what I want to do is I want to live in a cabin in the woods and have a garden and make jam and tea, and I want to be an earth person and, dedicate my life to the healing of planet Earth. If that is what your soul wanted before you were incarnated, the message that you got, if it's different from your parents, you have to be rich all the time and only rich people have value in the world, then you're going to be in a locked battle within yourself. And unless your positive affirmation that you're stating to yourself is in alignment with that soul desire, then again, you're going to find that nothing happens. So that's the second thing. Your positive affirmations must be in line with your soul desire. Now, number 3, this is the biggest one that's lost. I'm hammering away at you the same things over and over again because this is how you learn. The third point I want to share with you is that it is extremely important that you follow your positive affirmations with direct action. You want to have love in your life. You want to find the man of your dreams. And so you are going to use the law of attraction to attract him to you. And so you spend time sitting on the edge of your bed, fantasizing about being in love and waking up next to him and having breakfast in bed or whatever your fantasy is with your lover. You can do that from now until the end of eternity if you have a block in your unconscious mind. And if it's not in alignment with your soul desire, nothing's going to happen. And if you don't take any action on it, that's the most important thing. It's very unlikely something's going to happen. I ran into this a lot when I was doing psychic readings, and I used runes to do psychic readings for people, and 99% of those calls were women wanting to know about love, and so a lot of the calls were women who were wanting to know. They'd ask these assumptive questions like, when am I going to find the love of my life? And my response would baffle them because my response would be, well, when do you want to meet him? And they would say, wait, you're supposed to tell me when it's supposed to happen. I said, you don't understand. I can take a look at the patterns that are going on now and what is most likely going to happen. But you decide when if these things happen. They didn't want to hear that. They wanted me to tell them, oh, in 3 months, a tall, dark stranger is going to bump into you into the supermarket, and he's going to give you a glass slipper, and you're going to get married. That's what they wanted. They didn't want to do any work. And this is one of the biggest failings in the law of attraction, is that, in fact, I could go online right now and just log in, law of attraction, do I need to take action? You're going to find so many of them that say, no, it's not the action that's important, it's the vibration. If you vibrate, that's what is most important. Don't work yourself to death, don't make it happen. And that's just absolutely not how the life force energy of the universe works. The life force energy matrix of the universe definitely responds to vibration. But think about what vibration is. I'm speaking right now, creating sound waves. Those sound waves are a vibration that you hear. That vibration travels through into your ear, makes your eardrum vibrate. It's the vibration, but it's the action. There is an actual physical action that creates that vibration. So positive affirmations, visualizations, they do create a vibration. That's definitely true. But the universe is made up of life force energy, which responds to all of these vibrations. The most immediate and most powerful vibration is always going to be action. You've got water, right? And you drop a rock in the water. That is a physical penetration which creates a wave. If you sit on the edge of your bed, focusing on your feelings and what you want to happen, there's a vibration that goes out. But compared to actually getting up off your rear end, and if you're a guy, going out and asking a girl out, that vibration has a much stronger impact. And let's use that for an example. Let's say a guy wants to find the woman of his dreams. And so I'm going to say to him, well, do all the other stuff, sit on the edge of your bed, vibrate, be very clear about what you want. That is important. Vibrate that out there, and then go out and start asking women out. Because that action of going and saying, hi, my name is so-and-so, would you like to go get some coffee? That is going to create a vibration in the matrix that the matrix is going to respond to. Now, I'm not saying she's going to say yes, and you don't need to worry about that. You don't need to worry if she says yes or not, because just by doing that, you're taking a huge risk. You're risking being turned down. That is huge. The energy that it takes to take an action against your fear creates a huge, it's like dropping a big giant boulder into a calm puddle. It's not going to cause ripples, it's going to cause waves in the fabric of the universe. So when you do that, that sends a message that not only are you thinking about this is what you want, which is what the law of attraction says. If you just think about it, it'll go out there and it'll come to you. And the universe is like, look at them. He's thinking about wanting a girlfriend. Well, that's nice. Let's get ready and get some things prepared so that when he's actually ready to go get one, we will supply him with the resources, the confidence, the whatever. So when you go and you ask, hi, my name is so-and-so, what's yours? Would you like to go out for coffee? Boom, you drop this huge boulder into the pool of life force energy in the universe. It sends out shock waves. And then the universe goes, he's serious. Let's get him that girlfriend. So then when you do that, then your combination of your positive affirmations, your feelings, your visualizations, your actions will come together, and then you will bump into that beautiful woman at the supermarket and say, oh, I'm so sorry, what's your name? Hi, my name's so-and-so. You're already primed for it. And direct and powerful action. Now, there's a fourth point that I want to make to this video, which we're going to talk about in the B video. Remember, in these manifestation videos, there's an A video and a B video. The A video is here on the free YouTube channel, which we talk about the theory. In the B videos, which is at manifestation.thunderwizard.com, when you get to the Patreon site there, then you are going to hear specific techniques that you can use. That's what we focus on. By the way, in case you're unfamiliar with that, the Manifestation Mastery course, we are going to have live question and answers. I think I mentioned that earlier. Okay, so there is a specific technique that you can combine all of these things together and actually goes beyond affirmation. So in your affirmation, you're being very specific, which I also agree with. It's a very powerful tool to use. Be very clear on what it is that you want. And when you do that in combination with hacking into the unconscious, with taking action, with knowing how to program the matrix, the universe, life force energy, when you combine positive affirmations with all those things, then your positive affirmations have a much stronger chance of happening for you. But there's a technique that goes even past that. So in other words, you're sitting on the bed, you have very clear ideas about what you want. You tell the universe, I want this, I want her to look like this, I want her to be like this. And you can spell out exactly how you want your partner to be if we're using that same example of wanting love in your life. But that will still bring potential limitations. I'll give you an example. It's totally different, but I'll give you an example. Way back in 2001, I was in a movie. I think it was the only movie that I was in. As you know, I was an actor, years ago. It was the only movie I was in that actually made it to the big screen. Now, that's not a big deal because you probably haven't seen it. But as I was doing my thing in Hollywood, and I was going on auditions, and I was running a theater company and all that, I had a very similar situation where I sat on the edge of my bed. And I was filled with emotion. I had tears in my eyes. I said, I just want to see myself on the big screen. Now, my thought process was, I want to be a big time movie star. And I thought by saying that, that's what would bring to me. But you got to be careful what you ask for. I didn't qualify it with anything. I just said, I want to see myself on the big screen. So 2001, a movie came out that I had been in, where I had a semi-leading role. I mean, I was a big part of that film, and I played a kickboxer, and that was a big dream of mine as well, to play, a kickboxer. I wanted that, and so I played this kickboxer, and throughout the movie, I'm going, fighting and all that, and it could have been a really great opportunity for me, and so when I said to the universe, with tears in my eyes, I just want to see myself on the big screen. We went and I was cast in this independent movie, and we shot it in 2000, and then it it debuted on the East Coast in theaters 2001, right after 9/11, and so nobody paid any attention to it. It just fell through the cracks because it was. Nobody wanted to go see a violent movie because we had just been attacked. And so I went to the premiere. I flew out to the East Coast and was invited to the premiere of the movie and all that. And then, since it was playing in theaters, I went into the theater and I bought a ticket and I sat in the theater to watch myself on the big screen. And I did. And I sat in that theater and watched myself on the big screen. And about halfway through the movie, I turned around and looked, and everybody had left. I think there'd like 5 people had walked in, and they had all left. And I was sitting in the theater by myself, watching myself on the big screen. And after the movie was over, I walked out, and of course, people recognized me. I looked a little bit different, but they recognized me from the movie, and they were like chuckling to themselves as I'm walking out of the movie. And it was like I just had to laugh because the universe said, "That's what you asked for. You said you wanted to see yourself on the big screen in a movie, that was released on the big screen. You saw it. All right, now get on with your life." As it turns out, almost 20 years later, that wasn't my sole desire. I mean, the money and the fame would have been nice, but it really doesn't give me that joy that what I'm doing now does for me. So that was a very funny story to tell you that, when you are specific with your affirmations, you got to be very specific. Because the universe, especially if what you're trying to send out there with your positive affirmations, you're trying to manifest, if it's not in alignment with not only what your unconscious mind is doing, but with your soul desire, then, you're going to end up in a funny situation like I was, where you got exactly what you asked for and nothing more. So, any case, so now we're going to move on to the B video. And in the B video, I'm going to share with you a technique that goes even beyond positive affirmations. Even if you have all of those other 3 things, your unconscious mind is in agreement, you're in line with your soul desire, you've been taking action. Even if you're doing all 3 of those things, there's still a technique that will go beyond what positive affirmations can give you. So I'll be explaining exactly how to do that in the B video. Okay, so I'll see you over there. Real esoteric spirituality without all of the fluff, without all of the nonsense. This is the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel. Click. Hello, Thunder Wizards. So today I want to talk to you about what you can do to get yourself out of a self-destructive fear virus loop. If you're not familiar with that term, it's a term I coined in the 5 rules to master the matrix. And I strongly recommend that you combine these teachings of manifestation and law of attraction with that teaching of the 5 rules to master the matrix. Because these 2 teachings, really 3 teachings, but manifestation and attraction go together with the 5 rules to master the matrix. In that, I talked about that the universe responds when you take fearless action towards what you want. That instead of waiting for the universe to give you its permission, you already assume that if it's something that you truly want, then you have implicit permission to go after it regardless of how difficult or out of reach it might be. And in that same teaching, I talk about how the matrix is a life force energy, like a video game type of scenario, holographic projector. And it responds to certain rules. And one of the rules is if you act out of fear, which means like trying to steal from somebody or from the belief that you're not worthy or you don't deserve it, and you act out of that in ways that are destructive, the universe has been programmed to not respond positively to that. Your experience when you are trapped in a fear virus loop is that you think that you are doing what you need to do to survive, that you're taking care of yourself. But you're operating from an assumption of fear, an assumption that you're not worthy. And as a result of that, the matrix, the universe, is designed to reward you when you operate from fearlessness and self-love. And it is programmed to respond negatively when you're operating out of fear or the assumption that you aren't worthy to be given whatever it is that you want and need. And so lots of times we grow up being trained by our parents and our school and religion and whatever else to feel that we are not worthy and that we have to wait until God gives his permission to do anything. And so when we're living in that state and nothing is going our way and we feel unloved and unsupported, then in order to survive, we start looking for ways. And then we start doing things that make us feel shame. When you start either going after things you think you don't deserve, and you consciously are saying, I know I'm not supposed to have this, but I'm going to go do it anyway. And then you do things like steal, or you become codependent or needy, or use people, or these kinds of things. This tends to flip a switch in the universe where the universe says, hey, this person is not following their soul, and I'm not going to support that. You experience that as bad luck, as the world is cruel, people are mean. But really what's happening is that the universe is trying to reflect back to you that you're acting out in self-destructive ways, self-sabotaging ways. And so again, everything is your own projection. So when that feeling that you have of I'm not worthy and I'm not supposed to have this, and it's sinful of me to want to be loved and have money and be successful and do what I want to do. I want to be a ballerina, but my parents want me to be a physicist or something, then you start to do things to get other people's approval. You get angry with yourself because you're not doing what it is you truly want. Then you get into this cycle of shame and self-judgment. Oh, I shouldn't want to do that. That's silly. I should make people happy. And then you get into this cycle of, battling with yourself. And then, in order to get your needs met, you have to break out of that, and you have to, be bad and do things that are bad. And in some cases they are, stealing from other people, or, using other people, or things like that. So then you've got all of this conflict and this self-hatred and this shame and this guilt. And then you fight with that. And then this is when people get angry. Like, for instance, alcoholics. When alcoholics get, when people, I forget what that's called, an intervention, when they have an intervention and people come and, the family and friends sit around and say, I see that you're drinking a lot and it really hurts me. And they get angry. And what they say is, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm just doing what I want to do. And that's really not true. Their act of self-destruction is hurtful and harmful to everybody around them. But that is the justification. So you know that you're in a fear virus loop when you tend to justify things that bring you shame and guilt like that. So the tough part is to decide, is this really you're just fighting with what your soul wants, or are you in a fear virus loop and you're acting out of fear and guilt and shame in ways that are taking you out of alignment with yourself? So let's talk about being in alignment with yourself for a moment. So being in alignment with yourself is, I've used the word integrity, but I don't use it in the same way that moralists do. When we're talking about morals, we say somebody has integrity, meaning that they don't lie, they don't cheat, they don't steal. You can depend on them. They'll be there for you. If they say they're going to do something, they do it. They follow a moral code. And that is certainly a byproduct of being in integrity, but that's not what I'm focusing on. I'm talking about somebody who is in integrity with their own desires, their own soul desire, their own desires that bring them true joy. As you know, the assumption that I make, or the theory that I'm making, is your first priority is to find that out within yourself, to be conscious of what is your deepest desire that brings you the greatest happiness and joy. When you go after that without any conflict, when you take fearless action, it's really, you can have conflict about it, but what's most important is that you take clear action towards it, and you don't compromise. When you don't compromise on going after what gives you the greatest joy, even if it's completely out of reach, you say, I deserve that. I know I don't have the money to do that now or the resources to do that now, but I deserve that, and I'm going to start taking bold, fearless risks towards achieving that because I believe that I deserve that. That's one of the ways that the matrix then wakes up and starts to respond to you, because the world responds to your actions. Whereas, as we've said before, the law of attraction wants to get you focused on your feelings. And your feelings are only good to the extent that they motivate you to take action. Then the law of attraction works. When your feelings are corresponded directly to actions, then the universe responds to that directly and will respond to your feelings because there's an action associated with that. So you can still be in conflict with yourself on an emotional level, but if you take action that appears as though you have no conflict, the universe responds to that more than just your feelings. So when you're in conflict with yourself, it means that you are acting against your own true happiness. Now, one of the side effects of acting out of integrity, of your own happiness, is that you will often do things that to the world look immoral. You'll act selfishly, you'll act destructively, you'll do things that end up being harmful to other people, and then people don't trust you. But it really starts from the first thing is you act out of integrity to yourself. And then later, if it starts to build, then it becomes a habit to act out of integrity towards others. That's when somebody can say, oh, that person's character, is, you can't trust that guy. That person is a liar, or that person is a cheat, or that person uses other people. Though that's the end result, but it started with, at some point, they didn't believe that they deserved to have a connection to the universe. They didn't believe that the universe loved them and that they would be rewarded just for being their true self. And, we could take it to an extreme. So one extreme would be serial killers. What you find with serial killers, a lot of them are orphans. And so you have people who, as they're infants and toddlers, they're not, number one, they're not given a lot of physical attention, a lot of physical touching and nurturing and affection. And that has an effect on the brain. The brain, the nervous system and the brain need that. So when a child doesn't get that, it starts to create this underlying unconscious assumption on a physical level. The nervous system says, I'm not loved, I'm not worthy. And then they don't develop empathy. So the parts of the brain, one of the things about serial killers is that if you look at their brains don't function the same, and the centers of the brain that are connected to empathy are non-functioning or are damaged because of that. And so it starts from that's an extreme example, but it starts from that same foundational assumption of I'm not worthy, nobody loves me, the universe is a cruel place. Therefore, I have to go and take what I want. And then they get so wrapped up in that, then it turns into, of course, an obsession and craziness. And, once you're in that, the thing about being out of integrity with yourself is that you never find satisfaction. So no matter how much you drink, or no matter how much money you make, or how many people you sleep with, or how many hours you play video games, you're never satisfied. It's never enough. And being in true alignment with yourself, when you're going after what you truly want, it is fulfilling. It is enough. You keep doing it, but it's like eating, good food, as opposed to somebody who overeats, somebody who eats to stay healthy, you eat and you're satisfied. You don't have to eat a second meal. You don't have to have 2 desserts. You don't have to have a giant big gulp. You don't have to have the huge giant, tub of popcorn. You're happy. Once you reach that satiation, you're happy and you're done. So all of that, again, at some point, even if it's, the extreme example, at some point there's an assumption that is taken in that says that I'm not worthy, that I don't deserve it. And then you start acting out of integrity toward yourself. So I'm making a distinction between that, even though they are related. I'm making a distinction between that and, just somebody who's confused. Because as you know, what I also am teaching here is that, as I said, the first priority that we have is to become conscious of what it is we truly want, that our soul wants. And if we follow that, that will give us everything that we need. That will give us personal satisfaction. It will guide us to our true career, and it will guide us towards our prosperity. And the universe will respond by giving you what you need in order to achieve what you are here to do. And that's different for everybody. And so when you're out of alignment with that, then of course that is never fed. So there's a difference between being confused about what it is that I want, because this is something that happens a lot when I have clients who come to me for career counseling, and they want to know, they want me to help them find out what their true career path is. And I take them through the questions which I teach in the find your perfect career. By the way, if you want that, if you want to figure out if you are in fact confused about what it is that your true career is, then I recommend that you do that. neo.thunderwizard.com. That's one of the 4 tools that I recommend for getting the most out of what I'm teaching here in this manifestation series. So I kind of forgot what I was saying. Being confused is one thing. Being confused because you're not sure, what is it? Do I want to please my family or do I want to be a ballerina? That's a confusion right there. But we're talking now about a fear virus loop, which is an extreme version of that, where you're caught in the fear, and the fear creates a virus loop in the matrix, and you can't seem to get out of it. And no matter how hard you try, you seem to dig yourself deeper into it. And so you don't know when you're operating from your desire and when you're operating from your desperation, stealing from others. And, again, codependence, like, if we're talking about codependence, there's all different kinds of codependence, but let's talk about the neediness side, where people need other people and they become saviors. They want to save others. And so they become these people who are constantly saving other people. And so they believe that their greatest joy comes from saving people. And in reality, that's a projection. What's really happening is that they themselves want to be saved. But it's too painful to acknowledge that, so they project it onto the world. And then what they don't realize is how their lack of boundaries is destructive when they become too clingy and too needy and telling people what to do. Religion is a perfect example of that. The idea that somebody has to go around the world and force some religious belief on others in order to save them from hell. That is codependence, to the extreme. And you think, oh, I love them so much, I want to help them. They need to know the truth of the gospel. And, you have no awareness how destructive it is and how, just no respect for anybody's boundaries or their beliefs. So that's an extreme example. So that's what I'm talking about. That when people are in that kind of a fear virus loop, they oftentimes aren't able to tell when they are out of integrity and when they're going after what they want. So that can cause some deep confusion. Anyway, so bottom line is that again, we'll go back to the theory here, which is that in order to truly have your desires met, your first priority is to listen to your soul. What is it that your soul wants to achieve? And we often get confused. In fact, that is my belief, is that one of the reasons we come here is to get more empowered on a soul level. And so this is part of the karmic lesson of all humans, is at some point you will have to face, maybe multiple times, have to face the decision between what your soul wants and what other people want for you, what society wants for you. And you oftentimes get confused. And so you have to really dig deep and get honest and go, no, my desire to be a physicist is to please my parents and to feel like to be a good person. And then being a ballerina doesn't feel like the right thing. And I don't want to look stupid and be silly. And you have to get over the ego of wanting people's approval and being willing to make your soul happy. And so how do we do that? When you're stuck in a fear virus loop especially, it's very, very difficult to see. And that's where people like me come in. This is why, we go to counselors and we go to therapists and we go to shamans and we go to spiritual teachers, because we want help. This is why it's important to have a mentor, especially when you're one of these people that's really out of integrity. You really need a mentor. So there's a technique that I want to share with you on how to do that. So remember, there's an A video and a B video. In this A video, we're talking about the theory, getting it out there. In the B video, I'm going to give you the technique or a technique that you can use, which will allow you to hack into your unconscious and find out what's really going on with, a potential fear virus loop that you're in, and to be able to know what the direct action is to get yourself out of it, or at least a direct action to get yourself out of it. So again, this is for the Manifestation Mastery course. To understand that, you can go to neo.thunderwizard.com, and on there you'll see a link for the Manifestation Mastery course. It will take you to thunderwizard.com. If you go on to that page, on the right side of that page, it's a Patreon page, you'll see a link that goes to the Manifestation Mastery course. Click on that, and then you'll have access to the B videos. The B videos for the Manifestation Mastery course will have specific techniques and hacks to show you how to learn how to kickstart the law of attraction and combine it with the law of manifestation, and to connect you to your true soul desire and be able to manifest that. Because my experience is that once you get connected to that, once you become conscious of what it is you truly want, then you got a green light for everything. You take actions towards that, the universe is going to respond directly to that. You can then start practicing the law of attraction, where you align your thoughts and your feelings towards what you want, because it'll be aligned with what your soul wants, and the universe has to obey your soul. It has to. Your soul is Almighty God as far as the matrix is concerned. And so the universe responds directly to that. And when you know exactly what actions to take, the universe responds directly to those actions. And in other words, you've got this green light to get everything that you want, and there's no confusion. The confusion arises when we're not clear on what we want. So then in the B video, I'm going to share you a technique where you can go in, hack into your unconscious mind, and learn exactly why and how you've become out of alignment and what you can do to fix it. So for that, as I said, go to the Manifestation Mastery course, click on it, and sign up for that, and then you'll have access to those videos. And I strongly recommend, to get the most out of all of my teaching, I recommend that you go up here to neo.thunderwizard.com. There are 4 tools that I think are essential for what I'm teaching in my entire teaching. Those 4 tools are: first, you need to know what your destination is. And that's what we're talking about now. It's your soul desire. You have been programmed. You programmed your soul. Before you incarnated, you programmed your soul to want to do specific things. And the way that you know that you're following, quote, God's will, your destiny, is that those things that give you the deepest joy are the things that you've been programmed to do. The matrix, the universe, is also programmed. It is programmed to obey your soul desire. In the entire universe, the most important thing in the entire universe is you fulfilling your soul desire. The universe is programmed to respond to that. So that's the first thing. You need to know what your destination is, and that's also serving as a map. It'll take you. You'll know how to get there. Now, once you have the destination and the map, you need a vehicle to get you there. The vehicle is life force energy, because you are traveling through life, which is made up of conscious life force energy. And the universe itself is a matrix of interwoven conscious life force energy strands. And so you need a vehicle to travel through it. That vehicle is itself life force energy, power, energy. And so you need that. So the first thing you need is to know the map and the destination. The second thing you need is a vehicle powered with life force energy to get you to your destination. And that is the Qigong that I teach. The high-level Qigong that I teach will, whatever practices you're doing, law of attraction, ritual, shamanism, if you combine the celestial Qigong power to it, in my experience, it will increase it exponentially, your ability to manifest your desires. So that's the second one, the vehicle. It'll get you to your destination much more quickly. The third tool is, since you're taking your vehicle on your map to your destination, you need to know the rules of the road. This is the 5 rules to master the matrix. You know, we can focus in a couple of different areas. If we focus emotionally, what gives us the greatest joy, that will catapult us towards our happiness. But you don't have to sit there and figure it out. If I show you the 5 rules, how the universe responds, you know, things that you can do. There are techniques that you don't have to overthink. You just do them and the universe will respond. It obeys your commands. This is what I call the rules of the road. So you've got your destination, your vehicle. Now you know what the rules of the road are so you can get there the most effectively, the most quickly. And then the fourth tool is what we're doing now, where we continue to meet and we talk. And, you know, not everybody's going to get this right away. You're going to need to continuously come back because your unconscious programming doesn't magically go away. It's something that you put time and effort to hack into and to defrag and to reprogram yourself. And that is what happens in this interchange here. And so when you become a subscriber of the Manifestation Mastery course, you get access to all of those videos and more, because then you'll have access to tons and tons of shamanism videos where I teach you shamanism from the ground up, teach you about energy work, manifestation, ritual, mantra, runes, deity worship, all of that. And then you get access to these videos. And then on top of that, you will have access to live question and answers where I will share with you direct answers to all of your questions about for people that are following what I'm teaching, as opposed to the Q&As that are on the YouTube video where people show up and they're just totally brand new, or some of the Looney Tunes people that show up and I have to sift through all of their crazy comments and questions. On the Manifestation Mastery course live question and answer videos, which will start in at the end of this month, March 2019. You'll be able to ask very specific, knowledgeable, intelligent questions where I can go really in depth. And it'll be as though you've got a private session with me. So that's coming up later. So that's it. Make your way over to the B videos on the Manifestation Mastery course. And if you haven't already done that, go to neo.thunderwizard.com and get yourself set up with the 4 tools. So that's it for now. Now I'm going to share with you the technique, how you can go in and find out how to get out of that fear virus loop. It's a shamanic exercise, and I think you'll find it very powerful. So I'll see you over in the B video. Real esoteric spirituality without all of the fluff, without all of the nonsense. This is the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel. Click. Real esoteric spirituality without all of the fluff, without all of the nonsense. This is the thunderwizard.com. Hello, YouTube. All right, so that was the third installment in the Manifestation Mastery Course Marathon Rerun. Basically, they're just reruns of videos that are already on the channel, but my goal is, as soon as I can, to be able to have this channel be 24/7. That there will always be something for you to be watching, no matter what day or time. So subscribe, hit the bell button, and of course, I've already told you about these two guys up here. Big one right now is lockdown.thunderwizard.com. While we're going through this COVID-19 lockdown, I've taken off $3,200 and something off of all of my stuff, and I give you, on top of that, I give you 5 sessions with me. So it's a big deal. It's a huge savings. And as soon as everything goes back to normal, or when things start getting back to normal, or when I'm too booked and I can't do anymore, we'll get rid of this. And I am starting to get booked up. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. Now's the time. And support the channel. Watch the channel. Get other people to watch the YouTube channel. And even if you're not buying any of the products, there's no shortage of videos. Listen, it kind of blows my mind that people don't binge watch channels. I do it. If I find a channel I really like, I will binge watch a channel. And people ask me all kinds of questions, and it would take them literally 30 seconds to go and type that into my channel to find out if I have videos on that. And it just shows me again that YouTube turns people into lazy people. So put some time and effort into it and watch my channel. You don't have any money, you're out of work, don't worry about it. There's no shortage of meditations and Qigong and mantra, and at this point probably thousands of hours of teaching on the free YouTube channel. And I want my channel to get huge. So the more views there are on my channel, the more times people spend watching all of the videos on my channel, the more that YouTube will promote my channel, and I want my channel to get huge. My goal is to have my channel be the premier YouTube channel for spiritual information. So a lot more things coming, up with the whole Mahadeva time jumping stuff, which I'll be sharing about with you soon. So a lot of good stuff coming up. Anyway, that's it for me, and I will see you guys very soon. Thanks for watching. Sorry, what am I doing here? I am looking for this.